All right, guys. Digging through a box today, I found a classic, a marker that gives me a lot of feels going back. Remember watching 2000 World Cup on TV back in the day, and you seen the classic markers from back then, which at that time was like the most hot modern stuff you could see. And I remember seeing this guy, gave me the real feels, but it's been sitting in a box, so I figured I don't know what they're worth. I wouldn't be able to hesitate to guess what they're worth. But figured, let me build it back up and throw it up on eBay or something. And it is, if you remember like 2000 World Cup back in the day, it was the gun Bad Company used. Put it the other right way around. The Spyder AMG. This was probably the highest end, low end marker of the time. It was Spyder's high end marker, but still a high pressure gun. But I guess it was a little lower pressure than regular Spyders. It had a giant expansion tank, or a big expansion chamber, to make it just better at handling rapid fire than other Spyders. Had modes. It was electronic back in the day. This was a pretty cool gun in the year 2000. It wasn't a cocker or anything, but if you want something that was simple and reliable and could throw a lot of paint down, Spyder AMG. It has the manual. Look at that. I need to get a battery and a charger. Well, I have chargers, but I need to get a battery. Because these are supposed to take 9.6 volts, but we'll do that. We can use a 9 volt for the time being. There she is. Two-piece Kingman barrel. Junk, but two-piece Kingman high-pressure regulator. Junk, but let's try to put this down. Wonderful eco-friendly box with nice hard foam. Here we are, boys. Spyder AMG LCD. Beautiful mismatched chrome finishes on the aluminum expansion chamber reg holder thing. The wonderful barrel shroud to add a little heft for no reason at all, and put a little style and a little extra parts to clean if you got shot. That takes me back. That's a I like these. I'll have to find a adapter for the feed neck. Easily upgradable. Ooh. You ain't coming apart. It's okay. We're going to pull her apart real quick and see how she's ticking. And hopefully get her shooting. I'm going to need a bigger screwdriver than this. Electronic Spyder something. I forget what they're called. Yeah, this is one of the first more affordable or budget kind of conscious electros you're going to get back in the day. And they had a pro team out there doing pretty well, actually, shooting these before they turned them all into Timmies and kept up the ruse. No idea why there's a hole in the LCD window, but there is. Wow. 170 milliamp hour, baby. Ooh. Let's see if the 9 volt can get her kicking. Oh, there it is. Maximum rate of fire 13. Safe. This one might not have enough power in it. Oh, look at her. Oh, wait, do I have to press a button? Safety. Yeah! Alright, it's a Spyder. It's done. 46 shots. Truthfully, I forget how to program these things. Oh, I can switch it. The beautiful thing about these are you can actually get a Tadeo board still that for like 30, or a Tadeo board for like $30 from like A&S Gear for these to have a little more fire mode capabilities. Wow. I'm setting timers. I have 2 buttons. I don't think the trigger counts as a button. Rate of fire. I got semi blinking. How do I change modes again? Burst 3, burst 6, full auto, semi. Thought you could change 13 balls per second to something else, but let's go full auto. Oh, there we go. 10. Full auto 10. There's that battery being weak. You couldn't play a tournament with it, but I don't think anyone would be pissed if you played a practice doing this. Especially with this marker. I think this was one of the few Spyders that came out back then that didn't need an adapter for the bottom line. I don't think this was standard either, but that's awesome. All steel. That might not be standard. I don't remember that being that way. I thought that was braided. But if that is, that's so cool. Actual just bent steel. Let's lose some parts. And we'll break into it and see what we can do. These could be metric though. Are you metric? My experience with these is not very high, but I just remember just kind of loving them all the time. Always loved these just because of what they represented back in the day. Bang. Yeah, there we go. So that is the regulator assembly. It's actually a regulator in... Okay. It's actually a regulator in there. I remember a lot of this stuff is regular screws. Or Phillips heads. quick field stripping before that was a thing. Sort of. Oh, ball detent actually looks really good. Nice captive ball detent. I love those ball detents. It's an old style though, but I really enjoy it. Even Phillips head screws on there. She's been shot, been used. Let's take off the rest of the gingerbread. Switch over to metrics. I think this was the only Spyder back in the day that was it could use high pressure air, or it could use, you know, compressed air and not just CO2. I don't know if I'm perfectly accurate on that, but I know it was one of the few that could use you know, a tournament style tank. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. Just wasted aluminum. It's been used a little, not bad. A little bit of wearing in the breech. Nothing to not be expected from a marker of this vintage. But she hasn't been used too much. LCD screen looks really good. I'm confused. Oh. There's the super longs. There's the giant whopping expansion chamber. Just a big ass hole just to keep more gas in it. The other section of it, this unscrews, I think. Oh, just pulls out. Look at that. It's actually nice to machine that part. Just a big whopper. The front plug. The Spyder way to do things. It's a blowback, obviously. It's either a nylon or a Delrin cup seal, which is good, but it's a blowback. That's pretty standard for these, really high pressure. I love the little centralizer and just air fin that came with the Spyders always. And she looks really good. Little pitting on the frame, but this is some cheap-ass pop metal kind of stuff they did. One nice thing about Spyder, especially this vintage, is all electronics are in the frame. There's no wires I'm worried about leaving this frame. So I can just pull this whole thing off in one piece. It's a casted part. You always see the cast line down the center of them. You can pull the whole thing off and it's done. Frame's out. What the hell that is. Come on, baby. That was a little gooey. Oh, nice. I want to show you an example of that one day. This is polyurethane O-rings. And I'm sure if you've worked on old guns, you've seen this. But polyurethane O-rings, they just turn into goo through time. And that's why it was so sludgy feeling. So they're expensive. They're actually, when they work, they're better than Buna O-rings technically when they're working. but they just turn into slime. And this thing's just slime. Oh my god. I forgot they're all poly ringed. They're gross. I hate it. That's why I replace, you know, all the poly rings with different durometers of Buna. It's to not deal with this happening in 20 years, 10 years when the gun never gets, you know, redone. Because that is terrible. I felt that sticky gooiness coming out. We're going to replace this with quad rings on the bolt, just because we can. And the ram, or the hammer ring, we'll do with a 90 durometer O-ring, just to give ourselves a harder ring that's going to take longer to ever fail. Like, that's one beautiful thing about Spyders in general. If something fails, it's this O-ring. And that's basically it. There's nothing else that can truly fail in this market besides this O-ring isn't sealing enough to let it cock itself back. And that's 95% of the time, that's the only thing that's going to fail. Need a big flathead. The bolt O-rings, it's inconsequential. That feels good. Get our piece of wood. We don't want to hurt the valve face. They go out the front on these, I think. Yep. So classic Spyder valve setup there. A Buna front row ring and a polyurethane rear. They're just garbage. Or polyurethane front in this case, Buna rear. And that is an AMG valve right there. Pretty standard fare Spyder stuff. She is apart. We got to clean out the bore because of all the slime from the O-rings coming through. And yeah, I don't know if anyone actually cares, but I like old Spyders. They have legitimate place in paintball history. And this is probably the most classic of the classic Spyders in my mind. This is the one you've seen on TV. This is the one that they were getting, you know, they weren't losing terribly with. Let's crack this open. This I've never actually done before. I've never seen the innards of a Spyder reg. I don't expect greatness. We'll take this line. This line is awesome, though. I give them full props. If everyone would have kept doing that, I wouldn't mind that at all. Those are great. Let's see if there's magic going on in here. Pretty small piston size. Not a good start. Oh. Captive small piston. That thing is as shitty as a mini reg, if not shittier, because this is heavier. Oh my god, that seals that way too. It seals like a tank reg, but it's not dealing with the same pressure. That's just a horrible reg design. And it's not truly adjustable either. It's just kind of set to 1. You'd have to fuck with the springs to adjust it. Or wait, no, that's a lie. It's adjustable. One, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. Maybe it's not. Non-adjustable. Only way that would be adjustable is if you shim the back of this to bring it out. But there is no way to adjust this regulator. I'm glad I took that piece out. That's a really nicely made piece there, though. I like that. It's neat. This is a nicely turned piece. Their turn pieces are really nice. This is a nicely turned piece. You don't see machine marks. It's really clean. This is beautifully turned, beautifully clean. Like for a paintball gun. That looks really good. Brass is easy turn, but it's beautifully turned. You know, the shafts are nice. All of their round stuff that was turned in a lathe looks really nice, really clean. And then you have like these grody ass marks on this because they turned it, it all looks nice, and then there's this terrible mark on it where they machined it separate. This big honking bastard. That's a fully disassembled Spyder AMG LCD. LCD is functioning. Well, I guess I can disassemble the frame, but it's not a whole lot to it. There's the battery goes there. There's a trigger here, or a trigger switch, micro switch here, a big fat bastard right there. The regular on-off switch right here. That's a big old capacitor to work with the clapper solenoid. The clapper's held in by an Allen right there. And you got the sear up top that the clapper moves. And that's it. That's all she wrote on this one. Actually, there's a little bit of a trigger adjustment on this. Just 1 point of adjustment. But yeah, that's a classic Spyder. Pretty much a classic marker at this point, in my opinion at least. This is a classic. That's why I want to just get her back up and running. I got to order the right battery. I'm going to clean up the parts, and we'll do the reassembly and shooting of her. All right, that's it for this first part of this, though. Just a short one right there. I tossed one of my Angel chargers on it. It's charging the original battery. I don't expect this battery to hold charge too well. It's at least 15 years old, I think. Depending, it's a Java battery, so it might be a little newer than the marker. But I don't expect it to hold charge. Just want to see what happens. So, but it is charging with an Angel charger that I sell. So that's pretty good. Yeah, that's the quick update on this. Alright, so got it cleaned up, grabbed the O-rings I think I need, and we'll start putting it back together. And we're going to start from the reg up. The reg seat feels really tight. This marker was never shot a lot, which is pretty cool. These just gel. These rings just gel. This thing's set up basically like an Angel Mini reg. It's an 012 in the front. We're going to replace that with a quad ring. That's immediately going to improve the performance. I mean, just looking at the design of it, if this hole was just bigger just to lighten this up, it would increase the performance of it. Not well. This is a really crap reg design. Is really tiny. The piston diameter, which is the biggest killer of it. But it could have been better. And that's all I can say about that. We're not going to deal with it. I think this marker is better off just being fully stock than trying to... than trying to reinvent the wheel on her. Just let her be the way she is, and she'll shoot really well. We're going to place the two O-rings here. I must say, when these things are like this, they're the best O-rings to get off in the world. But when they get a little stickier, or when they've been used a little bit, like the bolt O-rings, they become an absolute nightmare. But just like that, beautiful. 50 durometer O-rings here, because this is just a seal. It's a static seal. It never really moves. And the 50 durometer is going to last basically forever now. And seal really well. We're going to use grease on this stuff. It's a blowback. It doesn't really need grease. But this kind of stuff never really hurts to have grease going on it. So we're going to gently push that in. I'm going to want to put some kind of thread sealant back on that now that I'm thinking about it. So this, we're going to grease this as well. Just kind of a shame looking at it, seeing that they could have taken a little more weight out of this thing. Like they went through the process, and it's not, I don't think it would have made it any more expensive, or not that much more expensive to actually build it that way. And it would just increase their performance a little bit. Bit of a shame, but she all right. And want to lube this big O-ring. It looks great. I'm not going to replace it. It's Boone already, so it's not gelling. And it looks like it's in solid shape. It's just a seal. All right, let me get some Teflon tape, because that is a through hole. All right. Reg is reassembled. Let's roll into the body. Spyder. I love how simple these are. So we're going to do 50 durometer 015 rings on the valve. Same principle. They're going to last basically forever. They seal a little nicer than the 70, the standard durometer stuff. And it's a static ring, so it doesn't really matter about the wear and tear that it sees in comparison to the 70 durometer. So bigger port goes forward, and this slides in. Both are identical. Missed it a little bit. Beautifully machined nut too, like, especially back then, their lathe work for this small stuff really was on the level. Right. I don't know where that screw went yet. So just going to keep moving until we figure out where that went. Let's put the valve in next. Whoever she is. There it is. We're not really going to do anything at all to the valve. It's fine. So we'll replace this O-ring. I think we will. This might be a fat O-ring. 50 durometer as well. Give it a little lube. The flat part goes up. This has 2 side bolts. With the horrible looking captive nut stuff they were doing. Or the lockers. Do the hammer next. You got the 90 durometer 015s. Nice and hard to give it a better chance. Or to just help it last longer, I should say. Not give it a better chance. This is the ring that wears out all the time. It's the only one that can really wear out very often. Just because of the abuse it kind of takes and the spot it is. We'll switch over to 90s. I need to get the bolt in too, because that's all one piece on these. We're going to switch over to quad rings for the bolt. Just because they're 70 durometer, they could take, you know, a little more abuse than a 50 durometer ring, but offers the same kind of friction benefit that a 50 durometer ring does. Nice and flat. I'm not going to lube the front. We'll lube the back of this bolt. Just to help ourselves a little bit. I'll wipe my finger off, and whatever I have left residual, I'm just putting on the front O-ring. Oh. Nice. Well, this is never going to rust. If you ever want to properly lube the inside of one of these for no reason at all, that's how you do it. Pull pin. Goes back there again. Damn. Wrong one. This is the right one. So we're going to have a rear assembly. This, the velocity adjuster with the tournament lock, which is that Allen key. We're not going to replace this O-ring because, we're just trying to do that now, aren't we? I'm not going to replace this O-ring. It's a Buna. It's good. It doesn't serve a real purpose besides just to keep some friction. Because this isn't even a sealing surface, so it's only there to apply friction. We're going to put it back to where it was. I'm missing that extra little pin there, but that's all right. We'll work on getting a cotter pin for that. So the marker's together. Feels really smooth. Nice. Last thing we're going to put on is the this front assembly. Oop, I forgot the bumper. The hammer bumper doesn't come all the way back and beat the back of the marker up. All right. So these O-rings, again, these are seals. So all I do is seal, and they look great. So butter them up nice and good, and they're going to last a lifetime. Actually, put a little lube on these just for preservation. You ready? Yeah. Okay, give me a couple seconds. I'll be up in a minute. So, that's all good. Gingerbread gets to go on last. Now, we'll put the sweet frame back on. These are AMG specific, I should have mentioned that. You see this bottom piece here, it's all milled. That wasn't like that on the other Spyders in this time period. This was specifically to the AMG setup. So the frame looks identical, takes the identical boards, everything's identical. I think this is held in a little nicer than the AMG too, but how it's keyed in is much different than the other Spyders. They're just a round bottom, it's just a semicircle. But I think if you're watching this far, you know what other Spyders and this Spyder are. So tighten it down. This is still the stock battery in it. Yeah, it's dead. It's all right. Let's see if the other 9-volt works. I got another 9 points. Oh, yeah, that swelled. I put the charger on it. That swelled up. That is garbage, garbage. Kind of expected it, but we gotta get a proper battery for it. Obviously, I have chargers that are gonna work, which is good. So I never really loved the how the stock charger looked on these anyway. Just a little grease on these, just because these are very susceptible to rusting, and they haven't rusted at all, which is, you know, pretty cool. like there's a Spyder, and it's, you know, a lower end marker of the time, or, you know, it's just a blowback. It's the highest end that they had available, which is really neat. But like seeing one that's so not abused is, I don't think it's pretty common myself. Like this thing has barely been used. Just adjust them all straight up, because why not? Love with this. Every gun should have came with custom bent hardline on compression fittings. This is beautiful. It's so nice. Look at that. Nice and tight, nice and right. Like a marker like this with a hard line, I have zero fear of this thing ever blowing up in my face like a macro line I do. Like, there's no chance. It's a stainless steel hard line. You'd be so lucky if your brake lines in your car were built that nicely. All right. There it is. Ball detent. Love the simplicity of the Spyder ball detent. Oh yeah. Here we go. Get our shroud back on. Got all that ports there for the paint to go on when you get shot. It's beautiful. Yeah, it went that way. That way. Oop. Almost got caught there. Oop. Bastard. That's the wrong way. Falling apart in the finer details. No, that's right. Yeah, it went there because there's the screw holes there. There you go. She's back together. Right and tight. So, I gotta wait for the battery to come in. When that does, we will take it outside, shoot it a couple times, and guess she's off to eBay to see if someone else wants her in their collection. Hopefully someone has more time and ability to use it, or to display it, or do whatever they want to do with an old Spyder. I will get a adapter too for that. And yeah, that's it for the rebuild part of this. It's a blowback. They are beautifully easy to rebuild. All right, that's it for this one. Next part will be the shooting video.